There we go. All right.
Welcome to the Jump Project. I'm your host, Michelle Hill, and today we have the awesome opportunity to be joined with our guest, Adam Paul Dupuis. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did.
Awesome. Please, Adam, share with us what you do and how everything's going with your business.
So I do a couple of things. We do firewood locally for restaurants. I've worked with a lot of impressive people over the last 3 years, including like the barbecue competition circuit, as well as like a movie set last year and casinos, hotels, all kinds of things. The competition circuit's actually what got me into the other thing that I do, which is a barbecue subscription box where we feature competition grade products, and you get 3 products delivered to your front door every single month. So yeah, that's what we do. We're actually working on a new gift set, so you're not just gonna get 3 products. It's gonna be like the ultimate starter kit, and then that will be being released probably within like the next week.
Awesome. And where are y'all located?
So I'm in the greater New Orleans area. Like I live in Kenner, which is right by the New Orleans airport.
Okay, cool. Because I saw someone post one of your subscription boxes and it had like Kansas City rub. So I was kind of curious, do you have like other different kinds of rub? I'm not familiar with barbecue because I don't cook. So my apologies for my ignorance on this.
Yeah, so what we do is we go to these competitions and we source people that are from all over the country. The backbone of the messaging is that they're award-winning sauces and rubs, because anyone can make a sauce or a rub in their own backyard.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't just want to include every mom, pop, anyone that wants to go to the farmers markets kind of sauces and rubs. We wanted to find the guys that were like honing their craft for the last 10, 15, 20 years, like walking on stages, receiving trophies. And those guys come from all across the US. So yeah, we have a guy that was from the Midwest. He was from Iowa originally. He lives in Nashville now. He had the Kansas City rub, but we also had a guy from Florida. We've had 2 teams from Mississippi. One of them made his own Worcestershire sauce, which was interesting. Like not a lot of them do that.
Wow.
So yeah, so we pull these guys from all across the country because they all come to the same big events, one of which will be at next month. We'll be at Memphis in May, just shaking hands and kissing babies with guys that come. Memphis in May is considered to be one of the world championships of barbecue.
Wow.
So they come from everywhere.
Yeah. My husband loves to barbecue, but again, I don't cook, so I'm really illiterate in the kitchen. But it's just fascinating because you see these cooking shows, or I watch some of these cooking shows, and for people to come up with, these ingredients that they put together, and you're like, oh my God, how did you figure out you needed this and this and this? And so that always amazes me, how people are so talented and able to come up like the Worcestershire sauce. It just it's above me, so I just find it fascinating.
Well, there's a triad when it comes to barbecue. There's time, temp, and then there's ratios. And for the most part, time and temp is more or less the same. There's some variations there. Some guys might cook at 225, where some cook at 250. Well, if you're cooking at 250, then you're going to have a shorter time frame than the guys cooking at 225. But for the most part, it's within like a reasonable range and window. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we solve the issue of the ratio. Like you don't have to really do or think about anything. You just grab the rub, you throw it on there, you throw the sucker on the grill, you tack a little bit of sauce on there, you pull it off, you douse it in a little bit more sauce, and you got perfect fucking barbecue right there.
That's awesome. And you sell the firewood as well that goes to the casinos and the restaurants, and I'm gonna imagine that you take that with you as well to some of these contests, right?
Yeah, we just had a local contest here last month. Hogs for the Cause is like one of the largest barbecue charity events anywhere around here on the Gulf Coast, and it was 90 some odd teams. They were all competing for the same categories. It's a 2-day event, and we had a blast. That was just like a week or two ago.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That sounds amazing. I've never gone, but it sounds really fun. I think I'm gonna check them out. I'm in Texas, so I had to figure out when it's not the same as like a chili cook-off, right? This is like a barbecue contest,
No,
completely different.
dude, it's totally different. It's so much fun. Everything is like, so Friday they had like a theme, and because it's hogs, like it's mostly centered around like pork, but you'll find stuff like chicken and beef dishes there.
Oh, cool.
But the idea is for them to get as creative with a whole hog as you can possibly get. And so like Friday night they had bacon themed. So they had like bacon themed desserts, they had bacon themed dishes and whatever. And Saturday was mostly centered around the whole hog. So they had to do whole hog stuff, and it was really cool. You got to try stuff like this one dude did oyster Rockefeller, but instead of putting spinach on top, it was pulled pork.
Oh, wow. Wow, that sounds really cool. I've seen I don't know, this was years ago when I researched it, so I'm not sure if I remember it correctly, but I've seen like candied bacon. I don't remember what they do with it, but I mean it, like you said, they just do all sorts of amazing things with this stuff. I don't know if they do that there, but it was just really cool. My husband loves bacon, so yeah.
And Hogs is one of the super special events because it all goes to Children's Hospital right there in New Orleans.
That's
so
really
Hogs, cool. Yeah, Hogs raises a couple, like probably about $1 to $1.5 million every year, and all the proceeds go to Children's. They actually built a house across the street from the campus where parents can stay, kind of like the Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah.
But they call it the Hogs House.
How cool.
So, and we cater to 5 or 6 teams usually every year, and like one of them is the largest fundraising team, which them by themselves they can raise 400 grand.
Man, alone. That's got to be awesome to be able to raise that kind of money for an awesome charity. You know, anything with kids is just amazing that, you know, you can donate to. That's really cool. I love it. And like barbecue, you know, you can cook in any weather. It doesn't really matter. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, you can. You'll have some struggles if you're cooking in inclement weather. You know, high winds and rain and snow can kind of mess with your temperatures a little bit. So you got to be mindful, be a little bit more anal about checking it and making sure, like, okay, you know, the pit is still at the temp I need it to be at. Because if not, it might want to go from 225, say, down to 175, and that's not good. Right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. So I have some an array of questions, you know, just spontaneous questions I'm going to ask. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. What is your favorite book?
That's a tough one. I think I usually go back to Relentless, which is by Tim Grover. I think anybody that needs a mindset shift needs to go through that book first. His other book, Winning, is also really good and probably up there on my top books, but I feel like you can read them separately, but you'll understand one a lot better if you do, like if you read Relentless before you read Winning. Grover was Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant's trainer. Oh, wow. And he talks about the level of mental toughness that's required to be a 6-time champion, a 5-time champion, or somebody that came back from unspeakable odds.
That's really amazing, because I mean, sports alone, I think, is just mentally tough. I mean, it's physically and mentally tough. And then when you, you know, as an entrepreneur, I see the struggles that I deal with and the mental toughness it takes. And sometimes I'm doing great, and other times, you know, I've fallen down and got to get back up and work at it again, you know. So I'm definitely gonna have to check these books out. I love reading.
Well, those skills are transferable, right? Like, even if you didn't play sports, you can understand, you can read, and you can kind of grasp the fact that mental toughness is really, really important. So is all the other things that sports teaches you, like leadership and communication and basically pushing the envelope pretty close to failure.
Yeah. Well, and I got to write an article in something, and the one thing I was talking about was it is important to fail, because that's where you learn your lesson from, and that's where you take it, and it's like working out, you become stronger every day. So every time you fail, it just makes you stronger for the next journey that you're getting ready to take.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like working out is critical, right? Like I try to train close to failure. Like those last 2 or 3 reps should be a real dog fight.
Yeah.
And I had to bail out on a set of squats twice in the same set, but it's just going in there with that mentality of like, you're not done until the sets and the reps that you committed to doing are done.
I like that.
And they're
That's
not done
great.
half-ass either.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard for me to push myself in the gym. It definitely helps for me to have a trainer, because I'll do what I'm told. So even if I don't like it, but I got to learn how to tell myself to do that and then do it right. So I'm working on that one.
It just kind of comes down to, if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to tell yourself like, this is really, really important and I need to get it. My buddy John pulled me aside yesterday and he was like, I need you to be my trainer today. And I looked at him funny. I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, I need you to kick me in the ass. I need to get through this. I said, what the fuck do you want? Do you want it or do you not want it?
Yeah.
I said, because for 3 easy payments of doing the work, you can have exactly what you want.
Yeah.
But you have to do the work, and the evidence has to be there. You can't like roll in with your makeup all pretty and done and your shirt's all nice and pressed and your pants are super beautiful and your sneakers are shining white, and then you leave there and you look like you just walked in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. So I have another question for you. What are you the most proudest of?
I think probably the relationships that I've cultivated over the last couple of years. I've been in mastermind groups before. I was in Apex where you and I met. I was in the Lion's Den, which I'm still in both. And just being able to get kind of raw and real with some of these people and break things down and figure it out. Because like, the truth is, we don't know it all.
Right.
I sure as hell don't. I mean, I got into business. I had no idea what I was doing.
I feel like I'm exactly with you.
I was like, books, I'm supposed to like keep those and like monitor every single transaction and understand what P&Ls are and all this other stuff like that. That was a lot. That was all a new world to me. But I've cultivated the relationships I've needed to over the last 2-3 years that make that a lot easier. And, all those people are ride or die people. Yeah. And that to me is super critical.
Yeah. I truly believe being a part of, because Apex is the only group I'm a part of right now, that being a part of these mastermind groups has really changed so much about how I do my business, or things that I'm working on changing, how I deal with myself, and, just everything. I mean, positive, I started a podcast because of it. This is completely uncomfortable for me. I mean, I can talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime, a lot of small talk, but I'm really proud that I came out of the closet, I guess, and was able to do this, because it's definitely a challenge, and there's other things that I want to work on, like write a book and stuff like that. And I don't think I would have done these challenges had I not been part of a mastermind group, like you said.
Probably not. And the people in there are so willing to help and so able to help. And I think a lot of people from the outside get it wrong. They're like, oh, it's a cult. You're paying for friends. Yeah. You're following this one central dude. It's like, well, yeah, kind of. I mean, if you see somebody that has everything you want and he's willing to teach you how to get everything you want, wouldn't you try to cultivate the perfect relationship or the best business you could have or the best body you could have. Like,
Yeah. Isn't it the same concept as following a star? You know, you're following someone who's accomplishing things, and I mean, not just, you know, out there to I don't know how you say it, but how stars are, you know.
well,
I'd
I
rather
think that's
follow.
where people get it wrong is
Yeah.
they like you're looking to people for guidance, but they don't do the work for you. Like,
Right.
you know, these people don't come down from the stars and write you the guideline. They don't give you the Kool-Aid to drink, and they don't tell
Right.
you that if you only do A, B, and C, like everything's gonna be easy and you'll live a perfect life and whatever. It's like, no, dude, like they get raw and real with you and break it down and tell you that it's hard work and you're gonna have to do a lot of it. And you're gonna struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the people in there are so supportive and great. Like I was struggling really hard a few weeks ago, and a couple of guys reached out. They're like, "Look, dude, you know, I didn't know you were going through this, but if you know you need help, like I'm here. I'm just a phone call away."
That's really cool. It's so nice that you have that support. So, how would you describe yourself?
I think it depends on who you ask. You know, if I wasn't here today and you were to go ask my family and friends, like they'd probably all tell you something different.
Yeah.
The same people that would probably tell you that I'm probably one of the nicest, most easygoing, most whatever kind of person you'll ever meet will also tell you I'm a stubborn dick. It just depends.
Yeah, but
Like,
how would you describe yourself?
Well, I think that we all exist within a dichotomy, and that like I'm both of those, right? I'm all of it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fiercely loyal and protective, and because of that, I can be an asshole to people that, you know, are threatening or whatever. It's just you know, I'm creative, I'm spontaneous, which can tend to lead to me being disorganized and less than productive some days. It just depends.
Yeah, I get you on that. I can definitely relate.
You know, I just try to be somebody that has a lot of fun, and we do cool shit, and I make a lot of good food, and I work out hard, and I love people hard. That's just what it is.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So what do you think your superpower is?
That's a good question, because I can tell you one thing that I do unintentionally, apparently, is make friends.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Like, I'm such an introvert by nature. And the gym that I go to, when I first got back in the gym after a hiatus, when Hurricane Ida came and wrecked the place, like, I didn't want to really be approached or talked to. I didn't have any friends. I didn't want any friends. Like, throw your hoodie on, put your hood up, do your sets, get the hell out of here.
Yep.
And people saw how hard I worked, and they connected with that. So then they would come up and talk to me. And then now I can't walk in here without like somebody trying to shake my hand or give me a fist bump or be like, "Hey dude, what's going on? What you working today? What you got going? Blah, 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 blah. You still eating clean? You still in here every day?" Like, yeah, bro. Every fucking day.
I love it. Yeah. If you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it say?
It'd probably say, "Listen to your gut." That was the one thing that I didn't do when I was younger. I felt like my intuition was telling me like, "Hey, don't do these things. Like, don't date this person. Don't go to this school, or don't take this job." And I did all those things against my better judgment, thinking that like, well, this is the pragmatic solution. The pragmatic solution is just not always the right solution.
Right. That's true.
So I would tell you whatever your intuition is telling you, or whatever that gut feeling is. If it's saying go left and you go right, you know, it's not always the right answer.
Yeah, I've noticed many times that I've ignored it, and then I see something happen, and I'm like, I knew I should have listened, but I didn't. But you know, maybe one day I'll figure it out. Listen to it.
Well, I think it just comes from being quiet. Like, that's what I've learned is I just kind of sit sometimes, and I'll sit in silence, and I'll just sit there and I'll almost ruminate on it and be like, well, is this somebody that I really, really see myself dating?
Mhm.
Is this somebody I just want to get with, or is this somebody that I want to be with? And those are two totally different things.
Yeah. I need to talk to my son about that. He's got the same thing with that. But anyway, we'll go on to some. I won't get into that. What is the most courageous thing you have ever done?
Probably when I actually got up on stage in front of like my entire high school class, and I was asked to give a talk at a retreat. So it was like, I don't know, it was probably 300 some odd people, because we had faculty, we had staff, we had all the kids in my grade. And I was ready to like piss my pants, like scared. And I got up there. I don't even know how long it was. They just kind of gave me a narrow window. They were like 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. And that was only my second time telling the same story. The first time was in front of like 60 people. And I was just as scared then as I was in front of 300.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this much: just get up and just do it. It doesn't really matter. Because at the end, whatever it is, you'll feel so much better for doing it. It's like that workout you don't want to do, when you don't want to wake up and put your gym clothes on, but then you get up, get it done. You feel like not just a little bit better, but you feel like 10 times better.
Yeah. That's kind of what I do with this podcast. I'm like, I mess up, some of it, like my first episode that I did with just me talking, I'm like, I was listening to it earlier. I'm like, it's not great, but you know what? I started, so I don't care. The more I do this, the better I get. And then what I decided to do is, here in Fort Worth, we have it's called 4-Day Weekend, and they're an improv comedy show, and they offer like free classes on the weekend. And so what I've been doing on the days that I can is I go take these free classes, not because I'm trying to learn how to be funny, it's because I'm trying to learn how to do more improv and talk off the cuff, where, I mean, we all improv. I mean, we're improving right now, but I just want it to be smoother. It's just
well, I think the world does need more funny too, though.
It does. Let me tell you, I went to one of their shows, and I swear, it is just amazing, because they're taking people out of the audience, right? And they're taking the show about these different people, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so smooth that how they act with each other. It amazes me. So that's what I want to learn, is that right there. And I think it'll help my business a little bit more. So,
well, I think it does, because you do your own sales, so
yeah.
I mean, I get thrown curveballs every day. I walk in places, and like, at least for us, in restaurants, the purchasing person is never the same. It could be a chef, it could be a general manager, it could be a kitchen manager, it could be an assistant manager, it could be corporate, it could be a franchise owner, it could be the business owner itself. You just never know until you get in there. And you might, like, I usually end up shaking hands with a bartender or a hostess, and then getting introduced to this person, and then leads me to the other person, and then I can get into my spiel.
Yeah.
And hand out a business card. So improv is important.
Yeah, it is. And like you said, being memorable, right? I want to be memorable. If that's being funny, whatever it is, I want to be the person that people remember. I don't want to be the boring person in the suit that looks like everybody else. I want to be the weird one, because it works. You get remembered for that. So I try and find ways to stick out with, not being super weird. But
well, I can tell you that with being memorable, usually that is something that, like, for me, it's my deliverability, I find. So I'm pretty easily excitable when we get into something that gets me really kind of like passionate, and in a good way. Like, I end up, I'm cursing, I'm talking with my hands, doing all these things, but like, people find that hilarious. And I worked in the service industry for years, and I actually had to try to explain to somebody else the other day, like, the only way you get tips is by talking. Right. I think a lot of people think that you just kind of get recognized because you did a thing. It's like, no, everybody does something every day. Just because you cooked for them doesn't mean that you're going to be memorable because the dish was good. What makes you memorable is you're the chef that walks out of the kitchen, goes over, starts shaking a couple hands and asks like, hey, how was everything?
Yeah. Ironically, we get tipped in junk removal, not all the time, but I would say my biggest tip was 200 from one person.
Yeah, we get tipped delivering firewood too. And the reason that we get tipped, even sometimes when they chip in and try to help with the work, like, is simply just because we make it memorable. We make it a conversation. There's, well, what are you using this for? What are you doing? How's everything been? A lot of times it's repeat customers. So it's like, well, how you been since I saw you last time? It's going beyond the small talk. Anyone can ask you how the weather is. That's not important. What's important is connecting with people on a deeper level and doing so in a way that's engaging. And comedy is engaging.
Yeah, it is. It is. So my last question is, how do you get rid of the trash? My apologies. How do you get rid of the trash in your life when it piles up? Like metaphorically.
Well, I think getting rid of trash, both in a metaphorical and a literal sense, are almost one and the same.
Yeah.
So typically what I find is when things look cluttered, you start to feel cluttered and you start to get all these different emotions that clutter up and whatnot. It takes practice, and it's something you have to do religiously and relatively often. Like if you're not, working out every day, you're not getting rid of some of those emotions and some of that, some of those toxins that are in your body. If you're not cleaning your room every week, you're not washing your sheets every week, like what are you doing? It's you're just kind of stewing in whatever that trash or that garbage is, whether it's literal or metaphorical. And so my advice to people is really just that you have to treat it like a sieve. You just keep putting good things in and constantly look at the things that don't serve you. Make a commitment to yourself. Like, there's a lot of people when we get to be adults, we tend to throw certain things by the wayside. Like my dad was one of those that he would keep old clothes no matter how like worn out they were, because he always had to have project like something to wear when he was doing projects around the house, right? And I'm not that person. Like, I'll be honest, I don't like wearing clothes that have holes in them. So if I find a shirt that has holes in it, like I replace it and I throw the old one out or I donate it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's just like, that's a commitment though that I had to make to myself, right? Like that's something I saw I didn't like, and I choose to not live by the same standards, and I choose to raise my standards.
Yep. Please leave your contact information for our guests so they can get a hold of you.
I'm pretty easy to find. So you can find me at the Adam Dupuis, Dupuis on Instagram or TikTok. I am on Facebook, but not nearly as much anymore. And you can also find me through the two companies, either through Prime Barbecue Club, which is also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, or Wildman Firewood, again, also on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok.
Awesome. Well, Adam, I truly appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us and my listeners. And you're just an amazing person, and I'm glad we got to meet. I think we met through Facebook. And
yep.
And are you going to the MDM event?
I probably won't be there. I've got a lot of things kind of all going on at the same time. So I actually had like 2 or 3 or 4 events all back to back between May and June. So I had to kind of pick and choose.
Yeah. I bet the summer is like probably your busiest season, right?
It depends. It gets really slow for the firewood.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And right now with all the other struggles going on in the world, like restaurants are trying to order less. So that's something I'm working on today.
Yeah.
Is getting new restaurants in.
Yeah. Well, awesome. We appreciate you, Adam. And I love your story. You're an amazing person. And thank you so much. And y'all have an awesome day.
You too, Michelle. We'll catch up soon.
Sounds great. Thank you.